And I'm sure many of you probably think that, which is why large numbers of people are probably lining up to take the vaccine. Many in the hospital were a little bit more suspicious about taking the vaccine. We recently got an email stating, I think it was this week was our last week, where we as medical workers will be able to get the vaccine at the hospital, and if for the first dose, and that if we wanted to receive it later on, that we would actually have to go outside of the hospital to receive the dose, which I found a little bit odd. So Bloomberg came out with an article. I've posted this article and a couple of other different videos, but in this video, we're going to go a little bit different direction with this article. So many people ask, when will life return to normal? And Bloomberg goes on to say, in 7 years at today's vaccine rates, our new calculator shows how long it will take states and countries to vaccinate 75% of their population. And the reason that they're using 75% is because, as it says down here, Dr. Fauci, of course, is the one who gave that information, as it says right here. Anthony Fauci has suggested that it would take about 70 to 85% coverage of the population for things to return to normal. And so I'm not sure many individuals are prepared for this. And of course, this isn't something that is exactly talked about. I know that there have been articles talking about, Fauci has said by April we could see things going back to normal. Or some people say, maybe by the end of 2021 going into 2022 that we'll go back to normal. There'll be packed stadiums and life will go back to what we remember. And in my opinion, that will not be the case. Like I've said before, with the Charlie Munger quote, you show me the incentive and I will show you the outcome. The incentive, of course, or I should say the outcome that many at the top are looking for are an increase in wealth and an increase in power and control over many individuals' lives. We're actually seeing this not just here in America, but we're seeing it globally across many different countries, where we're seeing those who you thought were governing in maybe a good way, right? In a righteous way. You thought these individuals had your best at heart. And many across the globe are finding out that that is not the case. Even police that you think are on your side, you are finding out very quickly that the police are nothing more than sheepdogs for the farmer. The farmer, of course, uses the sheepdog basically to keep cows, the sheep, etc., all in line. And many Americans and in many other countries, like in Canada, are quickly finding out how far police are willing to go to rob you of your freedom. And many people are actually quite shocked at what has been going on during the pandemic. In my opinion, it will only get worse. It will only get worse. We're going to go into a little bit of the details here. If you haven't been noticing lately, the vaccine distribution has almost slowed to a crawl. We're going to go over some of the receipts. Moderna delivers 0 doses of the vaccine this week to Canada, and the stockpiles in Canada fall below 250,000 shots. And this is as of February 8th. Excuse me. I will leave the links for all of these articles for you to read on your own, right? And if you actually go on DuckDuckGo and you just put in either, C19, Pfizer, Moderna vaccine distribution slow, you will come across a slew of articles talking about France expects to have their vaccine distribution cut by 25%. Italy will have their vaccine distribution cut by 50%. Moderna to cut Italy and France. Most of Europe being delayed. And this is something that is going to come across the whole globe. So you might be thinking, well, maybe they're just having problems with manufacturing. Maybe they just don't have enough, manpower to put in place. I'm going to look at an article over here. And I read an article about this a while back. I had a different take on it. But as you can see, it says Pfizer says Trump admin still stalling. It says stalling millions of vaccine doses after rejecting offer for millions more. And this was back in December, right? We're going to come down here. So you might be thinking, It says right here, officials in California, Washington, Hawaii, Nevada said that the CDC notified them that their allocation would be slashed by 40%. Michigan, Missouri, Connecticut, Georgia, Illinois, Kansas, Maine, Maryland, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, and Indiana were also told to expect fewer doses than expected. And so it says, the governor here was saying that, obviously this is an outrage, disruptive and baffling. It says this is disrupting and frustrating. It goes on to say we need accurate, predictable numbers to plan and ensure on the ground success. And it says while Trump administration has pointed to a production issue, Pfizer says this is not the case. It says we have millions of doses sitting in our warehouses, but as of now, we have not received any shipment instructions for additional doses. So one has to wonder why. Again, U.S. declined to buy more Pfizer vaccine doses even after interim data board says Gottlieb, who is a board member for Pfizer. And this is again talking about the same thing about Trump refusing the doses. Pfizer made an offer for multiple times to provide more than 100 million doses it already agreed to supply. It says the remarks confirm a report from the New York Times. Japan to discard millions of Pfizer doses because it had wrong syringes. One has to wonder, were they not capable of seeing this? I mean, to one, pay for all of these vaccines, right? Because this is paid for, of course, by the taxpayer via printing money. But then to think that all of this will be wasted because you didn't have enough syringes. And while, yes, some people might say, government is wholly inadequate and often incompetent, in my opinion, I do not believe this to be the case when it comes to the vaccine. In my opinion, governments across the globe, I would say outside of Israel, because Israel is doing a very good job of vaccinating their public. But there are certain countries in the EU, UK, and in North America where we are seeing a stalling of the vaccine. And it's not because of poor distribution. It's not because the manufacturers cannot create enough vaccine. More than likely, people have other intentions. As a result of this, as a result of delaying the vaccine, other narratives are now coming out. UN warns that 2021 could be catastrophic due to C19 fallout and famine. Another article here coming out, I believe this is out of Nigeria. It says, agribusiness expert and founder at Farm Connect, a foremost multi-dimensional agric firm in Nigeria, has warned that global C19 pandemic may trigger a looming food crisis if urgent and drastic measures are not taken. He added that the country might be hit by food scarcity that will be difficult to manage. And one has to wonder, I know that, when it comes to government, they have all of these type of experts, but often they fail to listen to them, not because they feel that they know better than the experts, but often there is someone else pulling the strings. Of course, you and I are the ones who will be impacted the most as a result of the decisions that are made by policymakers. I had put out a video quite some time ago about, will America see a civil war? And in my opinion, America actually needs a civil war to bring about the effective change that is needed within the country. A change here would impact multiple countries. America is one of the most freest countries, if not the freest country currently, despite what is going on right now. And if freedom collapses in America, it will highly impact multiple nations. Multiple nations will fall in terms of their ability to maintain their freedom for their citizens. And if things remain unchecked with what we're seeing right now, this will more than likely be the case. I'm going to leave a link for all of these articles for you to read. Many of them are interesting and they debunk a lot of what you might think, supply issues, issues with distribution. They go into a lot of the information, and people are just not sure. There's articles where Moderna said we're not going to be able to send you any vaccines, and then when the country implied why, Moderna just said because. And it's really interesting to see why this is taking place. For many people who thought that we were just going to go back to normal, that life as you know it was, this was just a bump in the road, and everybody's going to take their vaccine, the mask will go away, we'll go back to crowded movie theaters and of the like. Unless individuals are willing to go the distance, freedom is not free. You have to be willing to fight for your freedom. And when you willfully give up your freedom for what you believe to be safety, as the saying goes, you end up with neither. And as a result, the only way to get back your freedom, unfortunately, as they say, is blood, unfortunately, needs to be spilled. Because many of these individuals who are in positions of power and authority are not going to be willing to give up such power without a fight. If you imagine that many of these politicians who overnight felt like they were dictators and had a firm grip over the lives of many individuals, that they're just going to give up that power without a fight, I beg to differ. And for many people, not just in America, but across the whole globe, have a really hard decision that they have to be willing to make, or they may send their ancestors into slavery, and your children's children may have to revisit this subject in their time. Hopefully, we will make a better choice.